Hello friends, I am Nisha Sharma. The topic under discussion today is in continuation with our earlier topic, that is Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem Ulysses. We have studied its critical perspective and today we'll go through the main character sketch of the poem, that is Ulysses itself. As you know, the character of Ulysses, in Greek it is known as Odysseus, has been explored widely in literature. The adventures of Odysseus were first recorded in Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, and Tennyson draws on Homer's narrative in the poem. However, most critics find that Tennyson's Ulysses recalls Dante's Ulysses in Inferno. The poem Ulysses is a dramatic monologue which the king of Ithaca, Ulysses, speaks. He just came back from the Trojan War. Although once he is caught up in his everyday routine, he shows unhappiness in life plus indifference towards his people and his family. He compares his past of heroism to the present boring state and puts emphasis on his yearning to revisit his heroic past. In this poem, Ulysses is a complex character. There are numerous traits that we can use to describe his characteristics that he displays. The first, or we can say the most important quality which we notices in Ulysses' character is that he is grand and noble. On the one point of view, Tennyson presents Ulysses as grand and noble man who recalls the heroic events of his past to justify his refusal to submit quietly to inertia, old age, and death. He makes this memorable character of Ulysses through his heroic desire to explore life into new worlds and fight life until its end. Ulysses' desire to travel is emphasized on by persistent use of movement verbs such as roaming. Ulysses on his journey is honored by countless persons in foreign areas, and he says, I have drank delight of battle with my peers. Ulysses can't be contented to calm and repose, for he says all experience is an arch where through gleams that untraveled words whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. Tennyson doesn't mention a lot about Ulysses' hardship, but he does make reference towards them in only line number 8 and 9, and that appears more like glory and less like pain. Even in his life's twilight, Ulysses is capable of achieving great things by sustaining that although he is younger and strong no more, he upholds that old age hath yet its own honor and its own toil. Ulysses wishes to live his life to the fullest, and as well he does inspire the audience to do so. He doesn't want to allow his age confine or restrict him from pursuing his dreams. In its place, Ulysses admits that he is aging. He says, you and I are old. He is fearing the sea and therefore is fearing life and death. Next quality is Ulysses is pompous and arrogant. On the other point of view, Tennyson presents Ulysses as a pompous and arrogant man, contemptuous of his seamen, his family, and his subjects. The attitude of Ulysses towards the island, his family, and the people is extremely pessimistic. Through the use of such diction as rest and idle to describe Ulysses, plus dole and maid to describe his actions, Tennyson clearly implicates that the persona is bored of Ithaca. Ulysses is reluctant to submit to his domestic responsibilities and desires to rather be having leisure and pleasure instead of being in place of study and struggle. The phrase barren crags and still hearth represents infertility of Ithaca and still movement, both of which associate with domesticity and femininity, implicating that Ulysses is disrespectful of his family. Ulysses exhibits a negative attitude towards his seamen, disrespectfully describing them as a rugged people, savage race. His obsession with their material needs shows how pompous he is. The monotony of his people is emphasized using expression hoard and sleep and feed. Also, the phrase life piled on life refers to them, suggesting useless hoarding, perhaps even the accumulation of goods and money. He does not want to fit in their life or store and hoard himself, but to live fully. We can see Ulysses as an escapist. I think that a fairly good case can be made for Ulysses as an escapist. Ulysses is shown to be one who wishes to escape the condition of life piled on life. Ulysses' life back in Ithaca is one in which daily mundane compel him to escape. The life of domesticity is a realm from which Ulysses seeks escapes. There is much in the poem that shows his discontent for the social and domestic responsibilities that accompany life in Ithaca. Ulysses is an egoist also. He desires for victory and adventure, subdues his need for people and family. To Telemachus, his son, he regards docile and feminine, as using such phrases as slow prudence, blameless, soft decree. Ulysses contemptuously speaks, "This is my son, my own Telemachus," as if attempting to convince himself. Even more, his selfishness is seen when he reveals his wish to leave Ithaca under his son's leadership. He appears to think so highly of himself as if he is important to be Ithaca's ruler and expresses disdain for his family. His duties he describes as common, but his life revolves around fighting, money, and travel. We also find in Ulysses old age feebleness. Ulysses is not only concerned with death but also old age hampers him in his way of exploration and knowledge earning. He uses words like grey spirit in his speeches. He even says old age hath its own honor, responsibilities, and tries to be out of the old age melancholy and respects it as it also has its honor. Later, in his quest of new world and gain of knowledge, he says there is no strength in him like before. He says time and fate together have made their bodies feeble. Yet he says he is strong in will, and the will lead him to his destiny. Another trait that we find in Ulysses is exploration attitude. Ulysses is after exploration with hungry heart like hungry loin after his spending of 3 suns in Ithaca. At last, he sets sails to explore the world. In this way, he remembers his explored world previously. He had seen several cities and citizens of its manners, councils, governments, etc. He has earned name and fame through his explorations. After setting sailing, he says he wants to explore the untraveled world. He wants to gather the knowledge as soon as possible in his short life. That is why he wants to be as fast as to catch the sinking star. He begins his journey in twilight and stars begin to appear in between the dots. They may soon sink into baths as assumed by Roman when day starts. Hence, he wants to grab those stars before they sink. He hopes a newer world is waiting for his welcome. He does not like Ithaca. He wants to reach to Happy Isle at the end of his life. Thus, his life wants to be ended in searching the newer world. And in his exploration attitude, we find all the good qualities of a leader. He is capable of inspiring, motivating his crew person, his sailor, fellow mariners. He also enjoys valiancy. Ulysses remembers his young days. He has enjoyed in joining the Trojan War with his master, with his mates. In the war, he fought along with God. Such valiancy is seen in his character. Such valiancy he wants to continue. He does not want to think that he is old and feeble. He wants to be strong in his will and wants to achieve such fear again. He once again reminds his mariners that they are the human who fought against to the will of gods in Trojan War. That spirit should be continued. He wants to drink his life to the lees in such activities. He remembers that he has enjoyed a lot and suffered losses in his journey. And the last quality that we notices in the character of Ulysses is that he is seeker of knowledge. In his previous life, before reaching his homeland, he had seen and known many things. He has knowledge of few civilized cities, manner, climates of region he has seen, councils and government. He says, I am a part of all that I have met. He does not want to get rusted but to shine his use. He compares a dull life with a rusted knife. If a knife is not kept in use, it will get rusted and then it will break. In the same manner, if you do not involve your life in an active use, then it would be of no use. He declares, even life after life is given, it is too little to know the knowledge of the newer and untraveled worlds. He still says whatever the life is left should bring a new thing for every hour for him. Thus, we can say that Ulysses is a true hero in a Victorian spirit. The Victorian poets, or we can say the in the Victorian era was an age of inquiry, an age of knowledge, a scientific age, and Ulysses truly represents his age. Thank you.